Green Bay came close. The Cowboys scored the most. There were six game-winning field goals. Stroud and Houston continue to roll, and Dak and the Giants did roast. Welcome to the Mishpo. Alrighty, welcome to the Week 10 episode of the Mishpo. Um, yeah, let's just get into it. Firstly, we had a couple of trades. First, Fiala traded a 2024 eighth round pick to Bruce for Khalil Herbert and a 2024 13th. Obviously, it kind of all depends on how well Khalil Herbert does. Um, it's a 5 round difference in the draft spot. So not huge, but kind of big, especially. But I guess it's not super late in the draft. Um, or it is kind of later in the draft, mid round pick. So we'll see how that works out. It could work out for either. Khalil Herbert, we'll see how well he can return from his injury. I'm not quite sure how he did in his. I believe he returned this past week. I'm not quite certain on that, but it could work out for Bruce, and it could work out well for Fiala if he at least got some value from him. So that was that trade. The next trade also involved Fiala. He traded a 2024 second round pick, so quite a big pick there. To Sam for T. Higgins, a 2024 fifth and a 2024 10th. So Sam getting a bit of a haul there. Well, I guess he just got the second. Fiala got a bit of a haul there for a second. T. Higgins has been up and down, but he can be a very good receiver when healthy and obviously targeted. And then a fifth isn't so bad. And then a 10th, it's a little cherry on top, I would say there. So all in all, again, Fiala, he got a good pick or got a good player there, and Sam, and then some decent picks as well. And then, um, you know, Sam got that second. So, I think overall, I would probably rather have the T. Higgins and the fifth and the 10th, especially if I'm trying to make a playoff push. Um, but yeah, fairly solid trade, I would say. So, yeah, we will jump into the matchups from last week. So let's just jump into that. All right. Yeah, so first matchup we've got was me versus Lincoln. Um, you know, don't want to spend too much time with it. I thought I had a chance, and this was pretty much my last shot at playoffs with this win. Or if I kind of needed the win here in order to be able to get into the playoffs, or at least have a shot at it. Obviously, still would have had some work to do, but I kind of gave that week as the deadline for me, just with the trade deadline being this week. So I kind of, like I said, gave myself that matchup as like, oh, this is going to be like kind of a make or break matchup here for me. Obviously, it was a break, if you will. Lost quite a bit. Lincoln had a good score. Dak pretty much went off, but I did have some good guys performance wise. Christian McCaffrey, obviously, and then TJ Hawkinson did real well. Um, Despite not scoring very many points, James Cook looked really good. Had some issues holding onto the ball, but I was impressed with how he played, but um was not in the cards for me this week. So we will see if some trades happen now that I have kind of deemed myself out of the playoffs. So we'll see how this shakes out. But yeah, congrats to Lincoln. Moving on to Michael versus Colin. Colin had a good score, but Michael had a slightly better score and moves to 10-0 on the season. So very good stuff. Kenneth Walker did great. Another good performance, or Ryan Robinson on the other side did good. Eckler did good. Monroe continues to do well. So, pretty good solid performances from both sides here, but yeah, Michael just got the victory here. And that Cleveland defense, god dang, they're a good defense. They are, yeah, the number 3 defense. So good stuff from him or them. So Michael versus Colin. Bruce versus Abby is the next matchup, and this one was pretty surprising, a little bit maybe. Um, Abby got the victory here, and now both teams are tied at 5-5. So pretty cool, interesting stuff. Um, Pretty solid performances from Purdy. Stroud took a little bit of a step back, but was still pretty solid. Jalen Warren, unfortunately, did pretty good against the Packers. Brandon Cooks had a game. So good stuff from him. And then the flexes did fairly well. Steph Diggs, not so much, but I mean, he did all right. And then obviously newly acquired Sam Laporta, 8 points only in his Bruce team debut. So not great. Um, but yeah, at least he didn't start the Chargers defense, which had -5. So that would be Abby versus Bruce. Next matchup, we've got Fiala versus Brian. A bit lower scoring. Have one team under 100 points here. So Josh Allen has not been playing great, including the entire Bills team hasn't been playing super great lately. We'll see what happens with them going forward. Alvin Kamara continues to be awesome. Very good stuff from Devontae. Chris Olave finally, with Jameis Winston, was able to kind of go off, have a mini explosion game. We'll see if that continues, especially if Jameis is continuing to play. Lockett, good stuff. Um, Good stuff. Good stuff. So that would be Fiala versus Brian. Next matchup, we've got Matt versus Sam. The two teams at the bottom, and of course, Matt loses again. Just his luck. And this one was pretty close, about 10 points. Separated the two teams here. Um, Sam's running backs did really well, 19 or 17.8 and 23.1 from the two of them. Michael Thomas was able to not, or was able to play after being in legal trouble, but didn't do very well. At least he didn't get zero like Allen Robinson, who is, I didn't even realize he was on a team, to be frank. Um, Solid from Conklin, pretty good stuff. Tyler Boyd did really well. And then also Trey McBride did really well. So good stuff. Oh, man. Matt rocking the triple tight end with Jake Ferguson, Trey McBride, and Evan Engram. And it wasn't too bad, actually. The worst out of the 3 tight ends was, funny enough, the one in his tight end slot. So good stuff here. Low scoring ish, kind of pretty close. And of course, Matt again got the loss. Just not his luck this year. So maybe that'll all come. It'll all build up, and he'll be super freaking lucky next year. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. But that would be Matt versus Sam. Next matchup, not close at all. T-Corn versus Adam. I think you actually have the lowest scoring team and the highest scoring team in this matchup. So it's a pretty perfect pairing. Um, you know, no team gets a free win and no team gets a unfortunate, unlucky loss. So this is just the way we like to see it here. Um, Still, there were some good performances, obviously, on T-Corn's side. Pretty much everybody had a good performance. CeeDee Lamb was just continuing to be great. Um, but there are even some decent performances over here on Adam's side. Josh Dobbs, 25.12 points from him, 17.6 from Montgomery, returning to the lineup. But then the Jets defense did have 11.5. But besides those 3 roster player, Josh Jacobs did double digits, so that's something at least, because the rest of his team didn't even hit double digits. Most of them not even hitting 5 points. So not super great for Adams' team. He's still, relatively, I would say, in the playoff hunt, being 5-5. So Nothing too sad about that um, loss, but you're gonna have to just turn it around and hopefully win next week. And the final matchup is Caleb versus State. This one was pretty high scoring, probably the highest scoring matchup on the weekend. In fact, I believe you have I think Lincoln was up there. Yeah, so he had 131. Michael had 127, 131 from Abby. Obviously, the T-Corns, but 138.42 for Caleb and 122.93 for State. Top five scoring teams in this matchup. Unfortunately, State Farm got the short end of the stick, but that obviously is very good performances. Keenan Allen, 40.5 points. So really, really good stuff. And then George Kittle, 20.6. But, Elijah Moore did pretty solid, 15.4 points. But, other than those guys, he really didn't do great. Joe Burrow did decent with 20.88. Probably wanted a bit more from him, but Caleb did pretty solid. Obviously, got the victory. Bijan finally got a touchdown on the ground. 17.6 from him, 26.3 from Mike Evans. Jamar Chase, 23.4. So pretty good stuff. Even Gallup got in the action in Dallas with 15 points from him. And Cortland Sutton with that incredible touchdown catch. Not sure if anybody saw that on Monday Night Football. Bills, Broncos, but Cortland Sutton had an incredible touchdown catch, incredible throw by Russ as well. So all around, very impressive play by the two Broncos, and their play, as of late, makes that Packers loss a few weeks ago against the Broncos not look so bad. So that's a good thing, I think, at least. So yeah, that was the Week 10 matchups. Before we hop into Week 11, we'll run through the power rankings. A bit of a shifting have going on. 14 Sam, 13 Matt, 12 Colin, 11 State, 10 me, 9 Caleb, 8 Abby, 7 Lincoln, 6 Adam, 5 Bruce, 4 Brian, 3 T-Corn, 2 Fiala, and of course, the only undefeated team left, number 1, Michael. Which brings us on to this week's matchups. Week 11. Also, this week is the trade deadline. And so, as I mentioned last week and maybe even the week before, all trades have to be completed by the end of the Monday Night Football game this week. So make sure you're being diligent and getting those trades out there. I know there was a 1 year, like 4 years ago, in a different league where I was trying to make a trade with this guy, and it was literally coming down to the wire for that Monday Night Football game, and we missed it by a couple minutes, I think, and so then it got put to a league vote. It didn't end up going through because we missed it, and I think I don't remember what the trade was, but I think in the end I was happy about it. I think it may have had Tyler Boyd involved. I don't remember. And I would have received him for obviously some picks. I think it was a dynasty league. So I think ultimately it ended up benefiting me that we missed that trade by a number of minutes. So it could be a benefit to you to do that as well. But, if you want your guys, go get them. I will just reveal I've already been listening to some trade offers for a number of my players. You can probably guess one or two specifically, but and heck, by the time you're watching this or listening to this, the offers may have gone through. May have some superstars changing teams in this week, and so yeah, we will jump into week 11. First matchup: Abby versus myself. Hopefully Justin Fields can come back for me. He's been out for, a month. It would have been really cool if he got put on IR so I didn't have to constantly play that out/doubtful game with him and keeping him on and off my IR. It was really kind of a hindrance to my ability to pick out players. But it seems like he might be back this week. Let's hope. Um, and he has, I think, probably a good matchup. Detroit's got a good defense, um, but I think you can throw on them. So hopefully that's what happens. Some pretty tough matchups, I would honestly say for myself here. Going up against Cleveland, Detroit, Detroit with a couple of Chicago Bears. The Bucks defense, I believe, is pretty solid. Obviously, Dallas, Cincinnati, they're all right, I guess. And then the Jets defense, Miami. Well, I guess that's my defense. That maybe will change by the time game comes. But I've got some pretty tough matchups, I think, um, kind of across the board here. That also, we've got tough matchups over for Abby's side as well. The Baltimore defense, we, kind of looked at them over in the recap. And then the also Tampa Bay, Carolina, not good. Washington, not that good. But then there's Detroit again. Washington, they're maybe all right. Tampa Bay. So we've got a lot of overlap here in terms of matchups, and I think they're all not super easy. I mean, like I mentioned, Brandon Cooks against Carolina, but he's the third string receiver, so we'll see how well that will work for him. I'm going to pick myself, obviously, kind of out of it at this point, and by the time this matchup actually takes place, my team could look drastically different. But I still think I've got a shot here. We've got some playmakers, some potential to have great games. Not to say Abby doesn't have that as well, but I don't know. I like my chances, so I'll pick myself for that matchup. Moving on to Lincoln versus Fiala. Fiala very well cemented in the playoffs, I would say, and Lincoln just on the fringe, 5-5, right on the outside of that playoffs. Um, so this could be a pretty good match or a pretty important matchup for Lincoln. Um, he's got AJ Dillon there just jumping off the page here as his RB2. It would be interesting if he were to receive, or I don't know why I said receive. It would be interesting if he were to get another running back, a potential upgrade. We'll see by the time this matchup takes place. Like I said, if he is able to make a move or two, whether that's waivers or otherwise, who knows? But this roster could look again different by the time matchups come around. Um, yeah, I mean, we do have obviously some good players. Kincaid has been going off lately. Um, had he's like the last like the last month he's been above 15 points every single week, so that's really impressive from the rookie. We'll see if he can keep that going against the Jets. And then obviously Travis Kelsey is back off the bye, so he's well rested after his weekend getaway in Argentina. I'm not sure if you saw that, but he didn't have a great week last week. We'll see if he can turn that around this week against Philadelphia, who is a pretty good team, going up against his brother, not obviously on the field at the same time, but that should be fun. Different solid team matchups. I don't know. Dallas Press get the. I am losing it. Anyway, should be a fun one. I'm gonna probably. You know what? I'm gonna go Lincoln here. I was gonna go Fiala. That seemed like the easy choice, but you know what? Some magic things can happen. Najee's been actually playing pretty decently lately. AJ Dillon had a solid game um, against Pittsburgh. We'll see if he can keep that going again against the Chargers at home this time. So I'm gonna go Lincoln. Should be fun. Should be fun. Next matchup, we've got Michael versus State Farm. Immediately noticed that Michael is quite the underdog in terms of the percentage chance of winning, only 32% at the moment. And you can instantly kind of see why here with Derek Carr, not only out, but also on bye. Also, Ramondre Stevenson and Jamal Williams on bye. He does get Tyreek back, so that's I'm sure very nice for him. James Conner he probably didn't play him last week. I don't know, but he's gonna play. Matt Stafford is eyeing to play this week, so also he coming back from bye, so getting some reinforcements over here for Michael, but also some key players. A key player, not sure how key Derek Carr is, but Ramondre is going to be on bye, so he's a pretty solid player here. Over on State side, um, obviously some pretty good players. He had a very good score last week, just fell short of the dub, but no bye issues to see at the moment for him. I don't think I mean, I guess he could pick up someone up that's going on bye, but we'll see how if he does that. Um, you know, Michael probably doesn't really care too much if he wins or loses, being 10-0 and as locked into the playoffs as you pretty much can be. Um, in fact, I think it's probably I doubt he misses because he's or 3 or 4 weeks away from the playoffs beginning, and he's got 10 wins. So, with all that said, I think I'm gonna pick State here. Should be fun. Maybe Michael will get his first loss of the season. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I will pick State Farm. Picking a couple upsets this week, so that's fun stuff. Bruce versus Sam is the next matchup. Um, just looking here, don't see any buys in the starting lineup. Drake London over here and Josh Down and Demario Douglas for Bruce are on bye. And then Michael Thomas for Sam. Maybe a benefit for him to be on bye, but we'll see. Sam currently has Devon Achan in his lineup, so we'll see if he can return to the field. And as we know, he's been great when he plays. Obviously, only 1.9 in that week 2 matchup, but was not below 20 and a half in all the other ones, including obviously that 50-point game, which is just insane. So we'll see if he can return. Obviously, that'd be a pretty nice boost for Sam's team coming off a victory. So we'll see if he can turn that into a second one. But, you know, Bruce has got a very good team here, and I really don't think it's going to be close here. Um, so I'm going to be picking Bruce in this week's matchup against Sam. Moving us on to Colin versus Matt. Matt coming off another devastating loss. Everything was pointing to him winning, but 'twas not to be this week. And I don't remember if Colin won or not, but Colin's still maybe on the fringe of playoffs, 4-6, probably a game or two back from who is currently in the playoffs. Defense on bye for Colin in his lineup, so obviously we'll have to fix that. But that's it for buys. And then on the bench for Matt, we have a couple bye players with Rashid Shaheed and the Atlanta Falcons defense. Not sure if he would have played either of those. Maybe Shaheed with his big playability, but generally not affected by the bye week. Obviously, pretty decent players. I've always said Matt's a good team despite literally now being in last place in the league, which is just insane to me that he's got only one win on the season. I can't remember who that one team is, but would hate to be that team. Yeah, Matt has got some guys coming back from bye. Puka, to say the most. Pacheco as well. I think that's about it for him. And then over here for Colin, we've got nobody coming back from bye. So, well, I guess Jarek McKinnon was on bye, but you probably aren't playing Jarek McKinnon. Why do you have so many? Man, look at this. Chief here. I thought he had another Chief maybe up here. But a lot of guys in red jerseys on Colin's team. We've got Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson and Curtis Samuel. So that's 3 Commanders right there. And then there's the red for Fournette, even though he's on Buffalo. That's the red from Tampa Bay. The red from Jarek McKinnon. the red from Keontae Ingram. Lots of red. Hollywood Brown, obviously, mentioned Brian Robinson. Just an interesting little tidbit. It does have no effect on the matchup, but you know what? I always and that kind of it's like, why do you keep picking me to win? I'm never gonna win if you pick me to win. I'm gonna pick Matt to win this week. I think he's gonna pull it off, and that probably just means he's gonna lose, which is also kind of funny. So just watch. Matt's gonna lose all season long, and then we'll get to the toilet bowl for the Sacco, and he'll lose round one, he'll lose round two, and then he'll just absolutely go off. Highest points ever scored in this league in the Sacco, and then that team who he was facing just gets obliterated. That would be the perfect way for the season to go for him, I think. But that's just me. But I think he's going to win this week. So moving us on to Adam versus Brian. Again, looking at the percentages here, it seems like we've got some bye weeks for Brian's here. Right off the bat, you can see Kamara has a bye and Tyler Algier. So his two starting running backs are out with a bye week, and his defense is gone with a bye week. Also, just looking at his bench, his tight end Hunter Henry's out with a bye. Damon Pierce and DJ Chark are out with a bye, and then he inexplicably dropped 3 players this week, or actually like a couple hours ago. Clyde, Darrington Evans, and Zach Wilson. Obviously, they're not great players, but now we just got 3 empty spots. He's going to be, Brad's going to be making some Madden moves, I bet. He's going to fill those roster spots and then some. Obviously, he's going to have to fill the starting roster. The players that are in his lineup that are playing are decent. Some of them, at least. Devontae Adams, now with a rebirthed, I guess you could say, Vegas Raiders. They've been playing pretty good lately. Jackson Smith has been kind of finding his own lately. OBJ has, I believe, scored in back-to-back weeks. Yeah. So not a crazy high score in terms of fantasy points, but again, like I said, back-to-back weeks touchdowns. So pretty good stuff from him. And Sam Howell actually has been playing really well. The quarterback 3. Would you look at that? Probably wouldn't have guessed that Sam Howell was the quarterback 3 and the 9th overall player, but good stuff. Over on Adam's side, Josh Dobbs has been playing great. It's incredible what can happen when a competent quarterback is playing in Minnesota. I'm just kidding, kind of, but it's whatever. But no, he's been playing, really great. Targeting TJ Hawkinson a lot, which I like. Decent running backs here. Obviously, Montgomery coming back from injury had a very solid week, helped by that 70-yard touchdown, I think it was. So fun stuff from him. Decent other players. Raheem Mostert, AJ Brown coming back from bye for Adam, so that's probably pretty exciting stuff for him. Also coming back from bye, I should mention Raheem Mostert. And that's it, I think. So I'm gonna pick Adam. It would tie up the records here between the two teams. They're in separate divisions, but once it comes to the wild card teams, division doesn't matter. So could be a pretty good game, big game for Adam here in terms of seeding. Brian, I think both teams are probably in the playoffs at the moment, but could be interesting for seeding. Which brings us to our final matchup of the week. Two also, could be good matchup players here. T-Corn versus Caleb. Again, T-Corn's probably a lock for the playoffs, being 7-3 at the moment. But Caleb not too far behind at 5-5. And again, just looking at these projections and the percentages and just seeing it right here already, bye-week players are on this team. First, we'll start with Caleb. Mentioned Bijan. He finally got into the end zone on the ground as a running back. So good stuff from him. So he's on bye. And that's actually it. So maybe it's going to be kind of a blowout. Obviously, he's going to fill that spot with Dalvin Cook. Probably not. Kenny Gainwell, I guess. Maybe he'll pick someone up. But yeah, so that's Fiala's or Caleb's side Tony Pollard has not been playing great lately, but Mike Evans, Jamar Chase sure have. Gallup had a pretty solid week. Curtin Certain has been doing some good stuff. Coming back from buyover from T-Corn, his team um, is Cooper Cup, so that should be fun for him. Uh, CeeDee Lamb has been on a tear. Christian Kirk, I think, has been playing decent. Um, all right, I guess. Quarter or wide receiver 19 on the season, so not terrible. But Brees Hall and Jameer Gibbs both playing pretty great. Jameer or Brees didn't have a spectacular last couple games, but he's been playing really well over the course of the season. But of course, the last couple weeks, Jameer Gibbs has been on fire, scoring 27, 29, and 26 points. Obviously, most of that was without Montgomery, but this past week, Montgomery was there and he scored 26.2 points. So we'll see if that continues if his success continues going up against Chicago, and I expect it to do that. I'm going to go T-Corn here. Uh, I just think his team is well and beyond above Caleb's team. Bless you. So I expect it to be a fun, good matchup, maybe, but I think T-Corn's got it on lock. No questions asked. So that'll do it for this week's episode of the Mish Po. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. And good luck to everybody except for I always forget who I'm playing. Abby. Good luck to everyone but Abby. We'll see if some interesting trades go down in the next week, and then that'll be it for trades for the season. We're already at the trade deadline. I mentioned that a couple times, obviously, but it doesn't hurt to remind y'all once again. So, with that, thank you and thank you.